alongside elite cyber geeks and tech company liaisons, sifting through literally billions of digital breadcrumbs in a virtual maze so massive it dwarfed a metropolis, desperately hunting for that single golden clue. What they ultimately uncovered were 6 still frames, 3 brief video files, 9 critical seconds of pure suspect body language, and the distinct outline of a dark mustache. It was plenty of material to sketch out a solid suspect profile, release it to the public eye, and blow this entire mystery wide open. This criminal genuinely believed they could outsmart modern software, which was a massive miscalculation, because with every sunrise, every pinged phone tower, and every mapped out bank swipe, investigators are relentlessly tearing through secure databases in an obsessive, round-the-clock pursuit that pushes them inches away from finally unmasking this brazen phantom. Those clips that were supposedly gone forever slammed home one absolutely terrifying reality above all. In our modern, hyper-connected era, your digital history never truly dies. It just goes into hiding, and the feds have the master key. If you happen to know absolutely anything regarding the Nancy Guthrie tragedy, whether it is a suspicious ride, a weirdly acting individual, or just something that felt super off late into the evening of January 31st or the early hours of February 1st, dial 1-800-CALL-FBI immediately to leave a totally secret, untraceable tip. A staggering $1.2 million is sitting there waiting for whoever can help reunite Nancy with her loved ones. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell, because this hunt is actively burning hot and the authorities are not sleeping. Major updates are just coming in regarding the search for missing person Nancy Guthrie. Make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell, because today we are breaking down the absolute worst error committed by the individual who abducted Nancy Guthrie on the night of February 1st. This was not just a weird action or a bad conversation. It was a complete failure to grasp the basics of today's digital devices. This massive blunder put the suspect wearing a disguise and carrying a weapon right in the line of sight of a recording lens. They falsely assumed that the recorded footage would vanish completely, but they were dead wrong, since the Federal Bureau of Investigation managed to recover everything. The recovered evidence completely flipped this case upside down, and we need to look closer to see why this discovery is way more important than what the mainstream media is telling you. This was far from a random stroke of luck, as it actually gives us a clear look into how this perpetrator planned their moves. We need to rewind to the exact second the feed cut out, which was at 1:47 in the morning on February 1st, 2026, when the front door security device at Nancy Guthrie's residence in Tucson, Arizona's Catalina foothills, suddenly dropped its connection. It went from broadcasting perfectly to completely dead in a split second, a detail that was officially backed up by Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos during his initial press conference. Whoever was there intentionally disabled the hardware and actually stole the entire unit straight from the house. During the week after she vanished, local law enforcement did not sugarcoat how badly this impacted their search effort. The official statement noted that these specific devices do not upload straight to a public cloud, meaning everything routes through private corporate servers, taking significant time for detectives to acquire the necessary search warrants and deal with the tech corporations to retrieve those files. The most terrifying part for anyone tracking this story came next, when officials revealed that the victim never actually paid for the premium video recording plan. Lacking that monthly membership means these specific smart home devices simply do not save past clips for owners to watch back. Everyone assumed the captured media was completely unreachable, probably recorded over, and most likely lost to the void. The individual who ripped the device off the wall clearly banked on that exact assumption, but they could not have been more incorrect. Let us pause here and break down the exact behavior of these smart home lenses when the owner skips the premium membership. This specific programming quirk is exactly what tripped up the perpetrator, and it is the missing puzzle piece that makes sense of the subsequent events. The victim utilized a wireless version 2 smart doorbell on her porch, which tech outlets noted was never intended to act as a full-blown surveillance network. Her family mostly just put it up so her kids could verify she made it back securely and to keep an eye on incoming mail delivery. It was just a single lens operating on the basic free tier without any premium online backup features. The official corporate rules state that captured clips are flagged to be wiped out within 3 to 6 hours of being filmed, which is an incredibly short window. Authorities were not alerted about her absence until around 12 noon on February 1st, which was almost 10 full hours after the device went dark. Based on what the general public knows about these smart systems, those digital files were supposed to be completely erased way before the search even started. The suspect, who actively uninstalled that security hardware from the entryway, stepping right into its view, covered the glass with gloved fingers, utilized nearby foliage for extra cover, and forcibly tore the unit from the wall, was basically betting their freedom on those exact mechanics, figuring they could just kill the power and wait out the automatic purge timer. They thought they pulled off a flawless and ghostly crime, but reality works a little differently behind the scenes. The hidden technical truth regarding these smart recordings is an absolute mystery to the average consumer, and the attacker clearly missed the memo. The second the motion sensors trigger from an approaching visitor, the system refuses to just save that clip to internal memory. It acts like every other modern online surveillance gadget by immediately broadcasting the feed, sending packets of information out the second activity is spotted. The stream starts pushing outward through the local wireless router, or in this specific scenario, potentially riding on mobile data networks due to the broadband outages detectives are currently looking into, rocketing straight into corporate data hubs. We are not just talking about a single computer, but an entire web of interconnected mainframes and backup facilities scattered everywhere. The tech giant spreads copies of this information across various networks built with the sole purpose of stopping files from disappearing. Deep within that massive digital web, your recordings do not instantly evaporate when your account downgrades or your hardware dies. They merely get tagged for future removal. The distinction between getting permanently erased and simply being scheduled for the trash bin is absolutely massive. Renowned digital security specialist Alex Stamos broke down this exact protocol brilliantly, perfectly highlighting why the perpetrator screwed up so badly. In an interview with national news networks, he clarified that these corporations use a slow purging system just to hide the clips from non-paying customers. This slow purge strategy translates to a very simple concept for the rest of us. Tagging a free tier user's clip for destruction does not equal instantly shredding the digital code. The system refuses to scrub the hardware right away, instead just labeling that memory sector as free real estate for whenever the computers eventually need more room, a waiting period that can stretch anywhere from a few hours to several days based entirely on how busy the networks are, leaving the actual files totally intact behind the scenes, sitting in the digital dumpster waiting for the garbage truck that has not arrived yet. Ex-FBI cyber expert E.J. Hbert explained the immense challenge of tracking down that specific digital footprint. Google's Nest system constantly scrubs billions of records hourly, he noted, adding that hunting for this exact file is like searching for one lone needle inside a 10,000 by 10,000 foot pile of hay. Imagine hunting for a solitary needle hidden across a city-sized haystack, yet the Bureau actually managed to pull it off. George Mason University's digital forensics chief, Jim Jones, shared an overlooked detail that completely flips the script on this entire investigation. He noted that ripping the camera off its base, an intentional move meant to eliminate the footage, likely ended up saving the files instead. According to him, cutting the power or yanking the plug simply halts the video capture instantly. Everything captured right up to that exact second becomes significantly more secure, mostly because fresh footage cannot overwrite the older files. Take a moment to really let that sink in. By striding right up to the entryway and ripping down the Nest device to get rid of the tape, the intruder triggered an unexpected failsafe. They completely froze the recording process, actively preventing any fresh digital footprints from being laid down. This meant the older clips were no longer fighting for cloud storage against fresh uploads, leaving them perfectly intact deep inside the server network. It was just waiting there, turning a desperate attempt at destruction into the ultimate form of preservation as the perpetrator accidentally guarded their own damning evidence. We need to discuss that 10-day gap, primarily because federal agents could not just march into Google headquarters and snatch the tapes in 20 minutes. Retrieving buried files from the deep back-end networks of a massive tech conglomerate is an incredibly complex ordeal. We are talking about information already flagged for the trash bin, which demands strict legal clearance just to look at. Sifting through billions of server logs is never a swift task. It becomes an exhausting battle between legal red tape and desperate urgency, ultimately dragging on for 10 days. Bureau Chief Kash Patel finally shed light on the massive scale of this retrieval effort through a post on X on February 10th. For the past 8 days, federal agents alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Office collaborated heavily with corporate allies to salvage any missing clips from Nancy Guthrie's residence, he stated. He pointed out that these files were previously damaged or completely locked away for a multitude of reasons. This specifically included the physical destruction of security hardware, while also confirming they teamed up with 4 distinct corporate entities. While Google was identified as one of them, the rest remained anonymous, though Patel laid out the exact methodology during a different media appearance. We pushed through legal warrants and relied on tech corporations to speed up the hunt, he explained. They essentially dove into back-end systems to dig up files that everyone assumes are permanently wiped out and completely forgotten about. This is precisely the kind of digital footprint the public assumes is gone forever. The agency had openly admitted that any criminal would safely assume these clips vanished, yet investigators managed to unearth them regardless. Adam Want, a tech professor and deputy chair at New York City's John Jay College of Criminal Justice, chimed in on the legal hurdles. He painted a picture of the 10-day legal tug-of-war, noting that lacking a paid cloud plan usually results in a flat denial of access. From there, the feds or the tech giant have to step up and suggest that backup files could still exist somewhere, he explained. It stands to reason that the two sides went through endless negotiations, initially starting with a firm rejection. After being told the files were unrecoverable, they likely tweaked their search methods until a potential breakthrough emerged, he added. After enduring endless denials and pushing the issue up the chain of command for 8 long days, a lucky break completely blew the case wide open. The visual evidence Kash Patel unveiled on February 10th consisted of 3 distinct videos and 9 freeze frames pulled straight from the ghost data. Let's break down exactly what we can see within every single frame of this recovered tape. Since every tiny clue holds massive value for the detectives, we start with a 27-second clip showing a shadowy person walking toward Nancy Guthrie's entryway. The intruder rocks a full face covering that only leaves their eyes and mouth exposed, along with incredibly bulky winter gloves. Retired federal profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole pointed out that such heavy handwear clearly stripped the perpetrator of their fine motor skills. This person is hauling a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiking bag on their back. Authorities have wasted weeks digging through Walmart sales receipts trying to track down the buyer of that specific store brand item. A firearm is clearly visible, tucked into their waistband or sitting inside a weirdly placed, unconventional holster. Right as the prowler steps up to the porch, they lift a padded hand to slap their palm flat against the smart doorbell lens, pausing for a brief second. What happens next gives us a chilling glimpse into the precise mindset of this individual. Using that same clumsy glove, the suspect snatches a handful of nearby greenery, which CBS reporters later identified as wild prairie brush. They shove the branches right into the camera's view to completely blind it, marking 2 separate efforts to kill the feed. First using brute force with their hand, then pivoting to nature for cover, proving they absolutely expected to be filmed. Fully aware of the security system, the intruder executed their primary takedown strategy before quickly improvising a backup plan when the first move felt insufficient. Clocking in at 14 seconds, the second clip shows the shadowy figure staring straight down the lens. They have a flashlight clamped firmly between their teeth to keep both hands entirely free, which is a classic move for highly trained tactical personnel working in pitch black conditions. You can see them using some nearby foliage to block the lens, all while peering right into the camera to make absolute sure their makeshift blindfold is actually doing the trick. When former senior FBI profiler Mary Ellen Ool reviewed this exact footage, she made a chilling observation that will absolutely stop you dead in your tracks. During a recent interview with CNN, she broke it down completely. This guy shows absolutely zero signs of being nervous, he isn't rushing his movements, and he definitely doesn't look jittery at all. I find that incredibly impressive, she noted, before dropping the most crucial takeaway. That kind of ice-cold composure only stems from two possible sources. It ultimately comes down to your natural personality traits, along with your past experience of handling these exact types of high-stress scenario. Let that sink in for a second. Past experience in doing exactly this. We are talking about an elite profiler with decades of federal law enforcement under her belt, watching this suspect operate and concluding that they are undoubtedly a seasoned pro at this exact type of crime. Moving on to the third batch of recovered video, we finally catch a glimpse of exactly what the intruder desperately wanted to hide. In one specific snippet, as the prowler steps through Nancy Guthrie's front archway and transitions from the porch into the house, they intentionally duck their head down. It is a highly calculated maneuver, keeping the chin tucked and eyes locked on the floor so their face stays completely hidden from any possible security camera angles. This absolutely isn't the body language of some nervous rookie staring at their own shoes, but rather someone who profoundly understands how lenses map out facial geometry. This suspect clearly knew that wearing a standard ski mask still leaves you incredibly vulnerable to angle-based surveillance identification. They fully understood that a direct angle lens could easily capture an exposed jawline or eyebrow ridge, so they made a very deliberate physical adjustment to prevent exactly that from happening. However, even with that extremely careful head tilt, the forensics team managed to extract exactly what they were looking for. The recovered video reveals something unmistakable, peeking out right below the bottom hem of the dark ski mask, a thick black mustache. We are not talking about a weird shadow or some digital compression glitch here, because it is definitively a real mustache. That one massive clue, pulled from the digital ashes by the Operational Technology Division at the FBI, instantly became a cornerstone physical trait for the official manhunt. The updated profile now reads a male between 5 feet 9 inches and 5 feet 10 inches tall, rocking an average build and a prominent black mustache, all from footage the suspect thought was gone forever. Ironically, by attempting to cover their tracks, they ended up handing the authorities the absolute best physical description of the monster who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. Meanwhile, there is a whole other layer to this magical data recovery that the mainstream media has barely even touched upon. As this investigation pushes forward, the most terrifying and crucial question we need to ask ourselves right now is simply, what other hidden digital footprints are still floating around out there? During his media blitz back in February, Sheriff Nanos broke down the massive wave of corporate support the authorities received the second Nancy Guthrie's vanishing hit the national headlines. He explained that massive tech titans like Google, Apple, and Meta immediately stepped up to the plate, practically offering him a blank check of digital resources to solve the case. The department heavily leaned into that unprecedented corporate leverage to fast-track their investigation as much as humanly possible, specifically working alongside Google, Apple, and Meta. Those three tech giants essentially monopolized the digital lives of almost every single American, hoarding endless mountains of personal account data and device activity, meaning if this suspect carried a smartphone, they left a trail. Given that the overwhelming majority of citizens are absolutely glued to their mobile devices these days, it is highly likely the perpetrator had one on them. That phone was undeniably bouncing signals straight to Apple or Google servers on the night of February 1st, leaving behind a breadcrumb trail of cell tower pings, location logs, active apps, and recent search history. Every bit of that data is currently chilling in corporate back-end servers, just waiting to be cracked open using the exact same legal and forensic wizardry that resurrected that deleted Nest camera footage, according to digital forensics expert Heather Barnhard. She is the exact same powerhouse expert who helped lock up Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger using completely undeniable cell tower tracking evidence. Sabega Sika recently explained in her commentary on this case that the ultimate forensic strategy really just boils down to hunting for that one glaring data outlier. Investigators are desperately hunting for the one person who didn't belong in that neighborhood, tracing a suspicious device that pinged a Catalina Foothills cell tower right before 2 o'clock. The signal hit exactly at 2 in the morning, belonging to a mysterious phone that had absolutely no business being there and hasn't been spotted in the area ever since. Recovering that deleted Nest video definitely wasn't the finish line for the federal cyber team. It was actually just their opening move to prove it could be done. If experts can easily resurrect ghost data from an unplugged, unsubscribed doorbell cam a solid 10 days after the crime went down, the implications are absolutely staggering. We are no longer wondering if more digital evidence is out there. The real question is what other massive bombshells the FBI is secretly sitting on right now. However, this massive breakthrough has sparked a nationwide privacy debate that stretches way beyond Nancy Guthrie's tragedy, putting hardcore civil liberties advocates on high alert. Michelle Da, the current executive director for the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, didn't mince words when she recently tackled this exact controversy. She firmly stated that the American public needs to wake up and be seriously alarmed about the massive privacy boundaries crossed to recover that deleted Nest doorbell footage. Her primary concern revolves entirely around how easily our personal technology can be secretly weaponized against us. Thanks to some incredibly shady terms of service, tech giants like Google essentially own your recorded data, letting them hand your private footage over to the cops without ever needing a warrant or giving you a heads up, because the current laws protecting smart home data are practically non-existent. This entire investigation has been a massive wake-up call for both the police and the general public, proving once and for all that our everyday smart devices are secretly hoarding way more personal data than any of us ever realized. These everyday cameras are constantly marketed to us as completely free and harmless home security tools. But from the Ring doorbell your nosy neighbor installed to watch the street, all the way to that Google Home smart speaker chilling right in the middle of your living room, you are always being watched. Every single device is constantly broadcasting, feeding an endless stream of information straight into remote servers. They all harbor hidden traces that, with the proper warrants, investigators can pull up way past the point you thought it was permanently erased. Jaime Siminoff, the mastermind behind Ring, actually made a huge effort to separate his brand from this kind of surveillance talk, especially when questioned about the Guthrie situation. He made it a point to tell Fox News that when it comes to their devices, if you decide to wipe a video or simply choose not to keep it, or if you simply lack a paid plan, we absolutely do not hold on to that file. He swore up and down that his crew designed it that way. Yet the mere fact he had to defend it on national television proves just how much this insane digital resurrection has completely shattered what we thought we knew about smart home privacy. So let us tie all this crazy tech right back to the mysterious figure lurking outside Nancy Guthrie's porch. According to retired FBI profiler Jim Clemente, this intruder orchestrated the whole nightmare with chilling, hyper-focused precision, showing up equipped with a knapsack and a firearm. They rocked heavy-duty handwear to guarantee zero prints were left behind, slapped on a balaclava, and actively kept their chin tucked to dodge any stray camera shot. Then, they actually ripped the security lens right off the wall bracket. Tearing that device down was their ultimate strategy to destroy the evidence, hoping to ensure that the chilling visual of a masked gunner waiting at the entryway would vanish into thin air. And they honestly thought they had pulled off the perfect crime after yanking the hardware and carrying it off into the night. They vanished into the shadows, feeling totally bulletproof, assuming the captured footage was completely wiped out, but they were dead wrong. That precious media was quietly chilling deep inside a massive Google server farm, flagged for the trash bin, but still fully intact, until a dedicated crew of federal agents spent 10 grueling days. This case exposed something the public rarely thinks about. Smart home devices are not just recording for you, they are transmitting to corporate infrastructure the moment they detect activity. Free tier, no subscription, scheduled for deletion. None of those conditions erase the footage permanently. They only made it harder to find, not impossible. The same technology that helped investigators find a kidnapper is also a reminder that your devices are broadcasting more than you realize to servers you do not control. If you have smart home devices, understand what your data plan covers, where your footage is stored, and who can legally access it without notifying you. And if you live alone, make sure someone in your life knows your routine. A missed call at a scheduled time was the first signal that something was wrong for Nancy. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. If you saw anything suspicious in the Catalina Foothills area late on January 31st or early February 1st, 2026, call 1-800-CALL-FBI A reward of $1.2 million is waiting for information that helps bring her home. Her family is still waiting. The investigation is still burning. Share this story, subscribe for continued coverage, and remember that in the digital world, nothing truly disappears, and that truth cuts both ways. On the night of February 1st, 2026, someone arrived at Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona, disguised, armed, and prepared. They knew exactly what they were doing. They covered the doorbell camera with a gloved hand. They used nearby brush to block the lens. Then they ripped the device clean off the wall and carried it away. They had done everything right. No fingerprints, no face, no camera, or so they believed. What they did not know was that the moment the camera detected motion, it had already begun pushing footage outward to corporate servers miles away. Nancy had no paid cloud subscription. The footage was scheduled for automatic deletion within hours. By every reasonable assumption, it was gone forever. The FBI spent 10 days working with 4 tech corporations, fighting through legal warrants and back-end server systems to recover what no one thought still existed. They found it: 3 video clips, 9 freeze frames, and visible below the ski mask and recovered footage, a thick black mustache. The act of ripping the camera down had accidentally frozen the recording, preventing new footage from overwriting the old. The perpetrator had preserved their own evidence. In the digital age, destroying a device does not destroy the data. The evidence you think you erased is waiting in a server you will never reach.